When you think of your childhood, you automatically think of Snow White, The Little Mermaid, and other Disney princesses. But did you know that all of these Disney princesses were based on books? So here is the true story about the Disney princesses and what happened to them. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Tiana, known as the Frog Princess. Let's start off with the inaccurate things. I put this clip of Tiana styling her hair. Her hair was actually either a very light brown or considered blonde. Another thing that is very inaccurate is her age. In the book, the first line says, "One fine evening, a young princess sat by the side of a cool spring of water." See how the word says a young princess instead of just a princess referring to a preteen or a child. If you haven't noticed anything wrong yet, you can read the title. The real title is called The Frog Prince instead of The Princess and the Frog. Not to mention that there are a lot of added parts when the movie is only a few pages long. After mentioning that she was actually very young, when the frog turns into a prince, they only get engaged and don't get married until later. If you thought that the movie was very inaccurate to the book, you'll be surprised. The Little Mermaid. It's still pretty popular because of the live action, but when you watch the movie, did you ever think that there was a book? I didn't know until I found a book called The Little Mermaid in the library. So Ariel becomes queen after marrying Prince Eric, but in the book, she does not.
What?
I am sorry if I just traumatized your life, but Ariel dies in the end to save the prince.
I can't watch.
Everyone knows Beauty and the Beast's main character is Belle. But did you know that in the book, Belle's name was actually just Beauty?
Bruh.
Beauty and the Beast is honestly one of my favorite books. Beauty and the Beast is very similar to Cinderella when you compare Cinderella and Beauty's personalities. So the thing was, Beauty had two sisters in the book which they completely erased in the movie. And besides that, Beauty and her sisters were living in luxury. Like, they were rich. Like, they had this huge mansion house, and they got visitors every single day. Beauty had to answer the door every single time, and she liked the job because she got to meet new people. But then Beauty's perfect life was crashed because Beauty's literal princess life turned into rags because all of the father's ships sank, and Belle had to move from this gigantic mansion to a tiny cottage. You can imagine how horrified these two spoiled brats would be. They had to sell all of their dresses and furniture and jewelry and all that stuff in order to get a tiny house. And it's not even this house, it's that house. So the family was very poor, as you know. And like Cinderella, where her sisters made her clean their rooms and do all the chores, even though she was family, that was the thing with Belle. She and her father did all the work while her sisters lay sulking on the couch all day.
Bruh.
And the sisters were always blaming their father and Belle for ruining their lives by taking away their money and their pearls and their jewelry and their dresses and all that stuff. And let me remind you that they weren't even doing any of the yard work or cleaning the house or anything. Belle's sisters were missing all the finery, but Belle was missing the visitors. She got new people every single day and enjoyed meeting them and addressing them and taking them into the parlor for tea. But almost nobody passed through those plains where Belle and her family lived in. One thing that was very inaccurate in the movie is that they put that the rose was like this special rose. It was like in this case, and it was like in there, and it was like, it looked really special. But in the book, the father just took the rose from a random rose bush that was in front of the mansion that the Beast lived in. Tangled is an amazing movie on its own, but it is the most inaccurate in this video. Don't get me wrong, I love the movie. It is so good and one of my favorites. But did you know the story is all because of lettuce?
Stop it. Get some help.
So in the movie, they put that the queen was sick. Rapunzel was kidnapped because Mother Gothel wanted the magic flower that was now in Rapunzel's hair. There are amazing songs in the movie though, like the famous Mother Knows Best. Mother knows best. Now that we know the movie, let's start on the book. So it started with the mother looking over the witch's garden and seeing all her beautiful lettuce and told her husband to steal some. The witch soon found out and told the mother to give her her child when she was born. And that child was whom we all know as Rapunzel. Like in the movie, Rapunzel really bonded with the witch and knowed her as mother, reminding you that none of these people have names except for Rapunzel. So Mother Gothel's name isn't actually confirmed as Gothel, which is the same with all the other characters except for Rapunzel. Here is another shocker. Rapunzel was not royalty. The book actually says that Rapunzel's parents lived in a poor cottage. In the movie, it turns out Rapunzel is royalty, but Rapunzel isn't royalty until she marries the prince. So that was the stuff that was inaccurate with Rapunzel, but the story was all twisted out. So let me tell you it, movie versus book. So Rapunzel was given away because her mother preferred lettuce than her child.
What?
And just like the movie, the witch locks Rapunzel up in a tower. And every time she wants to get in, she says, "Rapunzel, let down your golden hair, that I may climb it like a stair." And guess what? The prince overhears the witch calling Rapunzel to let down her hair. Fun fact, this illustration of the prince with the horse inspired the character Maximus in the movie. And so after the witch leaves, the prince tries copying the witch by saying, "Rapunzel, let down your golden hair that I may climb it like a stair." And again, Rapunzel lets down her hair, thinking it's the witch. Once Rapunzel sees the prince, her fear is gone, and the prince proposes right then and there. Rapunzel says yes, and the prince goes back and forth from the tower, until the witch finds out and cuts off Rapunzel's hair. And the prince falls out of the tower, and the thorns make his eyes blind, and he can never see again. Then Rapunzel's tears make his eyes see again. I think that's why they made in the movie that she could heal with her hair, to bring back the magical vibes. And this is not confirmed, but because Disney is making all the live actions again, I think Tangled is next.